Hello everyone, happy Thursday and welcome back to the channel. My name's Erin and today's video, not gonna lie, is quite niche, meaning that it's only gonna apply to a very small amount of people. But you know, I'm okay with that because the heart of my channel is just to share lessons and things that I've learned along the way to help people that are coming up behind me. So today's video is things that I don't regret bringing on my first patrol. So things that I would recommend to either the class of 2023, which congratulations, you are so close to graduating, you're almost there. Really happy for all you guys and excited for you to come join us in the fleet and excited for all the things you're going to learn and experience in this next year and years to come. Or if you're graduating OCS, looking to go to boot camp, maybe you'll find this applicable, I'm not sure, but this is things that I would totally highly recommend bringing on a patrol in the Coast Guard. The first thing that I would recommend bringing is more than a week's worth of blue shirts and black socks. And this is just because even if you plan on doing laundry once a week, which is typically the amount of times I do laundry, it's still so nice to have extra blue shirts and extra black socks to change into if you get really sweaty up on the bridge one day, if you're doing a drill and you get super sweaty, and it's just so nice to have extras of those things, plus, you know, undergarments too. So totally recommend more than a week's worth of blue shirts and socks. Also, clothing wise, when you get to your unit, you'll probably have the opportunity to buy a unit sweatshirt. And on cutters, most cutters have what's called an underway uniform. So when you're pulling in and out during special C detail, you'll have to be in an ODU blouse and pants. But typically when you get out past the special C length, you'll be able to change into the underway uniform, which is either just your blue shirt without a blouse, or if it's cold, with a sweatshirt. So I would totally recommend buying a unit hoodie. And then also on that note, I would recommend having, and I got this advice but I didn't listen to it and I regret it, I would recommend having 2 designated pairs of underway pants and then saving a pair or 2 for your import pants. And it's for that exact same reason. So like I said, you're typically not wearing a blouse all the time when you're underway, but you're always wearing your ODU pants, of course. And so what happens is your ODU pants get faded, but your blouses don't, and so your pants and your blouses end up becoming 2 different colors, and so when you get back in port, you're just like mismatched, and it just doesn't look super professional. So totally recommend having a designated pair set aside for just like import so that it doesn't get faded and it'll actually match your blouses. I would recommend having more than one, so at least 2 blouses, so that if something gets really dirty or sweaty, which happens a lot, you'll have another one ready to go. Also, especially for officers, and I think for everybody, I'd recommend having a pair of prepped trops. Prepped because you don't want to have to do that when you're underway, and trops because you're likely going to be taking a board within the first couple months, within your first patrol, and so you want to be ready and prepared so you look professional during your board. I would bring both covers because you never know. Next in the clothing category is workout clothes. Depending on your cutter, you'll have certain times to work out. So I'd recommend bringing at least a week's worth of workout clothes. And then, of course, you're going to need civvies for port calls, but I really recommend not going overboard here. Think like 5 or less outfits, because if you think about it, your port calls are usually like 2 or 3 days, 3 days max. So you're really not going to need that much, plus you don't have that much space underway, and if you just bring, I don't know, like capsule wardrobes are popular these days, right? Just bring a capsule wardrobe where you can mix and match. That way you don't have to like take up a bunch of your room that you could put other things in with the civvies. If you're going to be underway in the winter time, I totally recommend bringing some thermal undergarments. So I have like these nice thermal long sleeve shirt and basically leggings for when it's cold outside. I also recommend bringing a pair of gloves, a hat, hand warmers even. I would recommend bringing nice wool socks. Yeah, it can be really cold up on the bridge, 270s, and a lot of boats don't have heat or AC on the bridge, so the temperature can be really uncomfortable. So recommend bringing those for the winter time. Hey guys, editing Erin here. One thing I forgot to mention in this video was that I'd recommend bringing a closet organizer, one that looks like this. I'll put a picture here. This really helped. I put it in my locker and it gave you extra storage for your clothes so that you didn't have to take up the drawers in your desk for clothes. So I was able to put other things in there. So just wanted to add that because it was a crucial thing that I didn't want to forget. And I think that pretty much wraps up clothing, except for you will need shower shoes. Don't forget to bring shoes for the shower. You don't want to take your bare feet and walk in there, I promise you. I just have a pair of Crocs, so whatever you think you need for shower shoes. And then obviously you're gonna need your toiletries. And then one thing that I brought lots of was emergency, like the vitamin C packs, and I actually got the ones that had vitamin D in them too. And I never got sick underway. A lot of people did, but I drank vitamin C every day, and so I was good to go. So I would recommend that too. And so then on the topic of food, my advice with food, a lot of people will just say bring tons of snacks, more than you think you're gonna need. My advice is only bring snacks that you won't feel guilty about eating. Because first patrol I brought tons of snacks and I just found myself eating out of boredom a lot of the time. That being said, I do for sure recommend bringing at least some like protein bars or protein powder so that you have that if you don't get enough to eat for one of the meals, or if there's a meal that you really don't like, then you can at least have that as a go-to. So I'd bring a healthy protein bar or a healthy protein powder, you know, stick the healthy route if you want to. And then I did bring some cup of noodles, one for just another meal option if I didn't want to eat the whatever was for dinner. But also when the seas are rough, your stomach gets super picky, and cup of noodles are usually something that my stomach is okay with when the seas are rough. So I did bring some cup of noodles, a lot of people did, so I'd recommend that. And then my other go-to snacks I think were like the squeezable applesauce pouches or fruit pouches. I also brought like lots of fruit cups, like mandarin oranges, peaches, because you run out of fruit and vegetables really fast underway, so it was nice to have at least like some fruit, even if it wasn't like fresh fruit. So I'd recommend that. And yeah, moving on to the next category. It's kind of the other category. You're gonna need blue and black pens, of course. I'm gonna try to put some links down below for some of my favorite things, so you can check out those down there. So blue and black pens. You'll need a red light if you're up on the bridge, especially while you're breaking in, because oftentimes when you're breaking in, you'll be reading documents, and if you have a night watch, then you'll need to be reading documents in the dark, and you can't have a white light in that time because you don't want to ruin anyone's night vision, so you'll have to have a red light. I have a tiny little like handheld red light that I keep in my pocket most of the time, but then I also have a red light headlamp. Again, I'll link down below. And this is nice because either you can put it on your head, or sometimes I just wrap it around my neck, and so then my light can hang here and I can read whatever's below me. So that's what I found nice to do. Oh, and one more thing that Nolan actually reminded me of was that, especially for engineers, he'd recommend a white flashlight as well, specifically because you're down in the engine room, and if like the lights go off, if you lose power, it's completely dark down there. Also to see down in the bilges and other stuff you're working on.
And drawings.
And for drawings, I never used a white flashlight, I only use red, but he's the pro here, so bring a white flashlight if you're an engineer. Nolan and I both got these clipboards is what they are. They're clipboards, but they also open up and have storage in them, so I have papers in here. And I would totally recommend one of these, mostly for when you're getting qualified and doing drawings. So one, a lot of people have binders. The problem with binders is they just fall apart super easy. Like people will drop them and they'll just like, the rings will get mismatched, misaligned, or all the papers will fall out, get dirty. This is nice because it's super compact. If it drops, it's not going anywhere. If it rains, it's not getting wet. Also, to do drawings, it's super nice to have them all in here, but then also pull it out, put it on top, and work on it. You already have clipboard. So this was super nice. You can put pens in here, your phone in here, calculator in here, whatever you need in here too. Snack, granola bar. You can see what I typically brought up to the bridge was this, a granola bar. My pens and pencils and my light were all in here. Oh, and my rotor book. My rotor book fit in here. So if you have a rules of the road book, it was all super nice because this is all I had to carry on my round and all I had to carry up on the bridge. So highly recommend one of those. Obviously, to go along with your uniform items, you're going to need shoe polish and cotton balls. Again, for not only boards, but just, you know, you want to keep your shoes looking professional, and underway it's so easy to get scuffs, so I recommend bringing that. Another thing that I had with me pretty much 24/7 was this little notebook. I bought a pack of 3 of them before I got underway, and it's pretty like disheveled, but this thing has saved my life so many times because, like I said, I just keep it in my pocket. And as a junior officer especially, but really this applies to anyone underway, you're gonna get tasked with things kind of left and right, and it can be at random times since it's like a 24-hour business. But if I didn't write it down, I often didn't remember. So This is where I just have everything written down that my supervisor would throw at me, just so that I didn't forget. Or it was nice to have, like, if someone was sharing a piece of knowledge, if I didn't have my notebook or my clipboard with me, I had this at least to write down that crucial piece of knowledge. So totally recommend keeping a notebook in your pocket. I'll link this pack down below. I would also recommend bringing a water bottle that can keep cold, so either like a Yeti Hydro Flask, one of those things to keep on the bridge, because again, it is hot on the bridge. Along with my clipboard, little notebook, I had just a spiral notebook for taking a majority of my qualification notes. In that same realm, I also, in my room, kept a whiteboard. When my supervisor would come to my room, or if my division would come to my room and talk to me about things I needed to do, I started with using sticky notes, and then I quickly realized that I was going to use so many sticky notes because there was just so many things to do that I had to take care of. So I got this whiteboard and I put it up in my room. I got some Velcro sticky things to put on the back so I could just like Velcro it off the wall, write on it, put it back on the wall. That way I don't have to waste sticky notes, and it was more organized. I just got some colored pens and just kept a nice list going of what I had to do. So, and also you'd think that things were magnetic in these rooms, like they look very magnetic, but they're not. So that's why I say Velcro. And then also I'd recommend bringing command strips and command hooks. We use those a lot. I liked to have a hook for my cover to hang my cover and my sunglasses and my jacket in my room, just because those are things I grab all the time, and so they were easily accessible with a command hook. And then talking about sunglasses, I would highly recommend a high quality pair of sunglasses and a strap. I don't know what they call these, croquis, something like that. But I bought these early on one of my patrols. Actually, it was on a port call because I didn't have a good pair of sunglasses, and I totally have no regrets. I bought a nice pair of Oakleys. I invested in a pair because I'm up on the bridge all the time, and not only is the sun shining at you, but then the glare of the water is actually the worst. And so it's really imperative that you have clear vision up there and you can see through the sun rays and through whatever. So I recommend a high quality pair of sunglasses, and then obviously to accompany a high quality pair, you're going to want something that keeps that high quality pair with you. So I bought one of these straps. These are something I use every single day, underway. Alright, next we're going to talk about exercise a little bit and things that I would recommend bringing exercise related. So on most boats, they will have an area designated for working out, like a gym area. Especially on 270s, we have pretty much the whole hangar space for that when we don't have a helo on board. That being said, with over 100 people, it can get crowded, or if you don't have that space on your cutter, it might get tricky, but you still really want to prioritize working out. I would really recommend that you prioritize that. It just helps with your overall health and ability to focus and everything. So I would bring a yoga mat so that you have the ability to either work out in your room or take it out to a spot on the fan tiller flight deck to have your own space, even if the gym is super busy. And then I also had like the workout bands, like resistance bands. So those are a super easy way to work out. And then another thing that you can take out to the flight deck, in addition to your yoga mat, it's nice to have a chair, like a folding chair. One to take out so you can sit and read if you have time, or just enjoy the sunset, or just get a breath of fresh air. And then also, especially as an officer, having a stateroom, people are gonna often come in there for counseling or to meet and talk about things that need to get done. So it's nice to have an extra chair for whoever comes in the room so that they don't have to stand, so you can let them sit and talk. So a nice folding chair is something you'll see in a lot of officers' rooms. A random thing on here I have is lots of hand soap. We went through soap like crazy just because we're constantly washing our hands, because you're constantly touching everything on the boat. So we brought lots of nice hand soap, and it's nice to have stuff that is of some quality at least, or smells kind of nice. I'd recommend bringing a conservative swimsuit because you never know when you're going to have a swim call. And oh, this one is my favorite. And some people disagree with me here, but I stand by this. Last summer, we went to an LL Bean outlet and we invested in these really nice LL Bean extra long flannel sleeping bags. So they have flannel on the inside. They're like a rectangular sleeping bag, not a curved sleeping bag. And I stand by this. This sleeping bag is the most comfortable sleeping bag I've ever owned. It provided me such good sleep underway, and I almost love it more than my own bedding, which maybe that says something about my bedding more than it does my sleeping bag, but I still 100% stand by the sleeping bag and would totally recommend the investment. Plus it's just so easy to lay it on your rack, zip it up the next day so your rack always looks made. Also, that to go along with bedding, I did have a small mattress pad on my rack just for extra comfort, and that I didn't have it the last couple of days that I was on dispenser, and it made a huge difference. So I'd recommend like a thin mattress pad to add some extra comfort. And then I think the way I did it is I had the mattress pad, fitted sheet, another quilt, so I had like a quilt, and then my sleeping bag, and I was perfectly warm, comfortable, almost too comfortable. So stand by that sleeping bag and would totally recommend it. Just a couple more things. I'd recommend a pair of headphones. Just make sure that you have the noise canceling feature off because you need to be able to hear pipes. A speaker if you want to bring one. Your chargers, obviously. I had my laptop with a few movies downloaded just in case I needed something to keep me entertained. Even when we were in port at Port Calls, I didn't have service for my room, and so it was nice to just have something downloaded on my laptop to work with. And then also, of course, downloaded music, podcasts, books, all that sort of thing go a long way when you're underway and don't have service. The last thing I have to share, it's one of my favorite things to share actually, I wanted to talk about the ministry Planting Roots. Planting Roots is a ministry for military women and wives, basically any women in the military community, and they have some awesome resources available to you as military women. I have a few of them here. Some of them include like a 40-day Bible boot camp, just walking you through the Old Testament, New Testament parts of the Word. This one is a 6-week study on Hebrews. This one is a study through the Psalms. This one is Nehemiah, and then I'm doing one right now that takes you through one single chapter of Galatians. And it is just awesome to have these as a structured study to do underway, and also the fact that they relate to military life is key. Sometimes we, especially as women in the military, think that nobody gets us, nobody understands, and not one resource is going to be perfectly applicable. And I'll tell you from my personal experience, these are as close as you're going to get. So totally recommend Planting Roots. I'll link everything down below. Check out the website, check out these awesome devotionals, and then also I wanted to announce that I recently took over as the podcast coordinator for Planting Roots. So I took over the Deeply Rooted podcast, and we're doing a series called So There I Was, where I get the opportunity to sit down with some awesome women and hear about their stories. And so I will link that podcast down below too as a resource for you to download, listen to underway. It's an awesome podcast, and again, it's women who can relate to your specific situation, which is hard to come by. And I think that pretty much wraps up this video. If you have anything to add that I missed, leave it down below in the comments for my viewers to see. And with that, I hope you keep looking up, and we'll see you next time.